All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So, my name is Matt. I'm the executive director with OTA. And I'm going to introduce Chris here in a moment as well with CIEE, who's going to kind of start us off and do kind of the official kind of partner presentation, just bringing you all up to speed about these summer abroad opportunities and kind of what the process looks like and scholarships. Might even touch on the program leader aspect, which is like, are we as adults can chaperone these trips and travel the world, doing some of these cool opportunities in the summer. So we're going to start with kind of the official CIEE stuff, and then at the end, I'm going to touch on kind of the specifics around how OTA is supporting this and kind of what our process looks like, because we do have funding available to kind of help support some of the flight costs for some of our students. The program isn't quite as, we're not doing quite as many students as we used to. There's been like a small shift, so the process looks slightly different. So just want to make sure you're up to date on that and kind of understand how to help your students apply and everything that goes um, into that. So to start us off, we have here Chris Reyes. I don't know your title, Chris. You don't have that in your
Yeah,
signature, but
yeah. So global education manager for the Pacific Northwest. So I specifically handle the states of Washington, Oregon, and Alaska. I'm actually located in Longview, Washington. So I'm just north of Portland, 45 minutes. I actually presented to Portland Public Schools at the district level just this morning.
awesome. Well, screen share is open here, so feel free to
Perfect.
just take it away.
Awesome. All right. Well, it was nice meeting you all. This is a larger group than I anticipated. I didn't know Oregon Trio was as large as this. This is fantastic. This is awesome. I definitely thank you all for your collaboration, the help that you guys have provided. My mission is to provide more access by way of scholarships, by way of programs to help high school students study abroad. Um, uh, Kind of like a key phrase, kind of a key thing that I've been touting, which is my mission specifically. There's less than 3% of US high school students that have access to studying abroad. Less than 3% study each year abroad in the US. And our mission is to give them access to that
Still wondering
way.
right now. I think it might be.
Oh, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, awesome. So whenever we do allow students to go abroad, they can gain all kinds of global experiences, global understanding, and then bring that back to the US. That's my mission here, is to drive those numbers up. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll get the presentation started. The best way that I feel like we can kind of talk about CIE is in reflection of 2024. So just specifically for PPDS, that's probably our largest area of support and help. I'm going to talk about Oregon Trio here because of the division of information or data. I don't really have specific scholarship dollars. I do have names and figures that I'll be sharing here with you all, but just in PPS area, I know we support Grants Pass. We have several locations throughout Oregon that we support as well. Just a number of scholarships that we provided last year has grown tremendously. We went from 22,000 in PPS all the way to 68 with the combined collaboration and the help and support of Matt Bisick, his team, and Oregon Trio. With regards to Oregon Trio, this is the number of students that actually studied abroad with us in 24, which is amazing. We had about 26 students that studied abroad, and the names in green here are actually the ones that we were able to provide them with
I'm actually scared of the door. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
absolutely. So with the amount of students that we were able to serve and provide an experience to, they were able to go to things like Chinese language and culture programs in Taiwan. They were able to go to topic programs like creative writing programs. Some of them went to engineering programs in Berlin. The name Jeremiah Morse is very resonant to me because I actually met them at McDaniel High School whenever I was presenting there to a lot of the students. in our Know Before You Go session, which is a pre-orientation session that I hosted there. And this student was just armed with the desire to go abroad in Berlin. And what actually happened is during that his time there, it's a very broad field, right? They get immersed in various fields of engineering. So he got to see automotive engineering, he got to see civil engineering, he got to see a biopharma. And when he came back to the US, he sent me an email saying that he actually is very, very motivated in the field of neuroscience now. So he was able to kind of dial in what his passions were. And we find that a lot with our students. Excuse me there for a moment. We have over 35 different destinations that students can embark upon. We have over 74 different programs to speak of. Within our website, you can select from over 74 different programs and topics that you want to study abroad in. So this really opens up access for students to engage in topics and in world languages. So I'll talk broadly about topic programs. So topic programs are generally STEM, art, business, social change. We have fashion marketing, and new program for us is culinary in Paris, which is an amazing program. We even have topic programs that are in a world language. So this program here, Mediterranean Marine Ecosystems in Palma de Mallorca, is actually taught now in Espanol. So students can actually take this course in Espanol and challenge themselves in that world language. It offers up to 50 service hours depending on the programs. A very popular one that you guys might be aware of was the one in Cape Town. So we had a leadership program in Cape Town where students followed in the footsteps of Nelson Mandela. They got to engage with community. I believe there was a classroom setting that they actually were able to help teach, which was really community-driven service, and they were able to get service hours that way. And if they need service hours to graduate, that's a great way to do that. They also gain an edge for college. So like I said, less than 3% of US high school students study abroad. Being able to say that you studied abroad in your college application, that you gained your independence through our programs, is a great way of going. And then I'll talk about our flagship programs, which is our language programs. Majority of scholarships, and I want to note that, and I'll reiterate that again, majority of scholarships will go towards our world language programs, just because $6 million of the 9.5 that we administered last year, about 6 million of that comes from one donor in Northern California. And they're very, very passionate about world languages. They believe that world language is the key to opening up doors and building bridges cross-culturally. So the reason why they donate $6 million every year is to promote these programs. New programs that's available this coming year is Korean and Portuguese. Korean is going to be taught in Seoul, and Portuguese is going to be in Lisbon, Portugal. Both are fantastic areas where we've been trying to find and build these programs, and now we're very excited about these two programs. Our language programs feature a local homestay. Our topic programs are usually in a dorm, in a hostel, or in a hotel setting. With a local homestay, they're more immersed in that language, right? Living for 4 weeks with a family in the country is just as immersive as you can get. You get to see what a local sees, right? You're eating dinner with them. You're not a tourist. You are part of the community whenever you are welcomed into the homestay. This is also part of the rationale and reason we see a lot of countries starting to kind of close off their doors and be antagonistic towards tourists. And that's because there's no respect for the culture, for the community that they have. By doing this, we actually gain a lot of that respect. We learn a lot about that culture. And whenever the students travel back, they are more likely to be respectful of those cultures and differences. With our language programs, we do stamp testing as well. We do stamp testing at the very beginning and at the very end of our programs. And that's to measure how much they've gained within our program. It also helps us place the student in the right program, whether they're beginner, intermediate, or advanced. But it also helps support their language acquisition, because what we can do with our stamp testing is if they score high enough, we get they earn the global seal of biliteracy, which goes on to their transcript, which they get a certificate for from Avant. And then we communicate that to the schools as well. They also have the opportunity to earn the 4 college credits with our program. It is a $150 fee for the college credits. That's just for our school of record, Tulane University out of New Orleans, to administer a transcript. So it's an administrative fee that goes straight to Tulane, so that way they can create a transcript for the student that they completed a world language program and earned 4 college credits doing so. And then with our data from the stamp testing, we find that 1 month with CIEE is equivalent to a year's worth of school. So that's not too shabby at all for 4 weeks on a study abroad program. So some outcomes that we found in our summer 24 program: about 41% of our students gained the global seal of biliteracy. That's pretty strong. 71% of them earned college credits. 94% gained a more global perspective, which is our mission. We want students to bring back those global perspective and experiences back to the States, to share with friends, to share with family. So that way, as a community as a whole, we are more globally minded. And then 79% showed growth from pre to post program stamp composite score. And then now I'll talk about scholarships. So scholarships is a big deal for us. This is how we open up the doors, give access to students. This is how we disrupt the education in a sense, right? Like, not only is it students that's coming from financially wealthy backgrounds have access to studying abroad, it's also students that might need financial assistance. So the Global Navigator Scholarship is up to 100% of your program tuition covered. You have to be a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, or currently residing in the U.S. Freshmen, sophomore, and juniors can apply for this program, for this scholarship. Seniors cannot apply for the Global Navigator Scholarship. What seniors can apply for, and everyone is open to apply for, is the Academic Merit Award, which is $500 off tuition. International students can even apply for the Academic Merit Award. You can't combine them. Basically, the Global Navigator Scholarship is the financial need and the Academic Merit Award combined, in a sense. So that is the 2 scholarships, and I will talk more in depth about kind of what's needed for those. So with regards to, they're going to look alike. Whenever students open up an application, they will be choosing whether they want to apply for the Global Navigator Scholarship or the Academic Merit Award, or they want to direct enroll. I highly suggest students to apply for the Global Navigator Scholarship if they meet the requirements. 2.5 GPA is also a requirement for the scholarship. So make sure that they check their GPA. What they'll need to successfully apply will be 3 essay questions. These aren't test questions, they're essay questions. So they have the answer within them, they just need to articulate it. Seeking parents' help or teachers' help or an advisor's help in reviewing those scholarship essay questions will help them be more successful. They also need a teacher's recommendation. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes for a teacher to complete. They basically get sent the link from the student's profile saying, asking them, I think 4 or 5 different questions about the student's capacity to travel, to be engaged, to be immersed in a different culture, to see how well they would do on our program. For the GN or Global Navigator Scholarship, they will also need to provide us some tax information or financial documents. The only information that we really need is the family income, net income, and the size of the family. Everything else can be blacked out in the tax information or financial documents. I would highly advise everyone that's applying for a scholarship to be engaged with their enrollment coordinator. My enrollment coordinator here in the Pacific Northwest, her name is Chandra. She's actually studied abroad with CIEE. She was a college student with us. She can talk at length about the Taiwan program to anyone. She's very passionate about her programs, just like myself. And she's more than happy to reach out, remind students what they need to work on to complete their scholarship. Part of the reason why we were able to help out as much students was due to like her shepherding students along, but as well as the advisors like you all supporting your students and finding ways to help them fundraise. Without that support, a lot of those students would have probably dropped off. And we were encouraged and were empowered to provide more support, talk to parents, and really articulate the meaning of these programs. We also have a fundraising toolkit that we developed. I'll be sharing more information about that. I'll be sending an email to Matt with the contents of what that fundraising toolkit will look like. If it's something that you believe is going to be helpful for a student that's really, really enthusiastic about this program, really wants to go out there, fundraising early is definitely to their benefit. And then, just like Matt said, not only can students travel, counselors, teachers, professionals can also travel. And you don't need to be fluent in the language as well. There are topic programs that are taught in English that can support students as well. What that usually looks like is there's usually 10 to 12 students per program leader. This is for professionals that are available 3 to 4 weeks during the summer to help out, support, travel abroad, help students acclimate to the cultural differences of a different country, and really make sure that they are, staying within the confines of the academic program. We want them to be safe. We want to give them boundaries, but we also want them to have fun. So program leader will actually take them out to various parts of the country to show them a little bit more of the culture of that country. Yeah, let me think if there's anything else. It is a paid opportunity, so there is a stipend involved in this, and then you also gain rewards for referring students, referring other program leaders. That definitely benefits the movement, the Global Navigator movement that we're trying to sponsor and trying to promote, and just the overall broader mission of our global mission of trying to create about more global harmony and global understanding of the world. Some dates for you guys to be aware of. So the first date here that might be important is 10/16. So later this week, we're actually going to do an info session in Espanol. Now, the Oregon Trio event that I did in McDaniel, where there was a lot of Oregon Trio students that came out, we had a lot of Spanish-speaking parents that came up also. And this might be informative for them because parents are kind of the key decision makers. And we engage with parents all the time. And we have Spanish-speaking coordinators that can speak to them specifically and help them understand what we're about and what our safety, like the mindsets that we take on in regards to rolling out these programs that we have. The next date is 11/1, which is our free flight voucher raffle. So students who apply by 11/1, they actually get entered into a free flight. Spoiler alert, there's another one in December. So they missed the 11/1 date, 12/1 will be the next deadline. But that really helps students who might not otherwise be able to afford that flight. We did have a student in the Pacific Northwest win that last year. It ended up being in West Seattle High School in West Seattle. And then the final scholarship deadline is January 15th. And then our scholarship awards are announced end of February into March. There's a lot of decision making and a lot of navigating whenever scholarships define such a huge population of our students. Like I said, we award over 9.5 I think $9.5 million in scholarships last year, and determining who's all traveling, where they're going to be traveling to, which program are they going to be going on, are they going to need a chaperone flight? All these logistical questions just take a lot of time and energy and effort. So we do appreciate that patience. I know for some students, it's kind of like nerve-wracking having to wait this long, especially for fundraising. That's why I'm saying fundraising early. If you're committed to doing this, fundraise right now. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. You can also reach out to Matt, who has my information. Definitely utilize my information, get a hold of me. Some of you might have my information already. I'm willing to engage with any legal guardian, parent, student, advisor, or school officials to help them better understand about our programs. And then with that, I will go ahead and stop my share and answer questions you guys might have, or if you guys have other topics that you guys want to go over, I can definitely drop off as well.
Definitely want to make sure I leave some space if there are any direct questions, anything that was just covered before I kind of jump into my portion.
Yeah. We're really excited about the new programs. The Korean World Language one is already having some direct enrollments into it. Culinary program is going to be a popular one as well. Getting your application early is not a commitment. So by getting your application early, you're just helping us along, because then we can start determining things and planning for capacity. So it's no commitment to apply early and get the ball rolling.
All right. In the chat, the first thing I shared was just a flyer. This is just a 2-page simple flyer. It shows all of the destination, all of the topics, and also includes our OTA specific QR code, as well as kind of a note in here around the free flight. So I dropped that in the chat. You are more than welcome to use that as you are starting to promote. And then what I want to do here is kind of show you on the OTA. Actually, before I do that, I've started working with CIEE in like late 2021 into 2022. We were trying to find a partner, particularly for the high school programs, to send students abroad. And I see there are some college advisors in here, so I'll touch on the college specific stuff at the end. But I had the privilege of going with a couple of cohorts. Our first 2 summers we did this, we sent like cohorts to one location so they could kind of be together. That was based on the recommendation of our kind of international education committee that consisted of staff members from chair programs all over the state. So I got to go with the group to Cape Town, and I went with a group to Dublin, Ireland. And CIEE does just an extraordinary job on the program. Like, I cannot recommend it highly enough. Like, it is equal parts fun and vacation while being academic in nature. The safety components, all the measures that are put in place, all of the local staff that are at each of the site centers, they tend to be like locals that they hire from that country who work for CIEE and who work with the students every day and facilitate the classes and all that stuff. So, and then this past summer, we quit doing like the cohort model. So if you're familiar with this a little bit, there's no longer going to be like one location they get to pick from. Like, they have the entire range to choose from, because what we were seeing is so many of our students were being successful at winning scholarship dollars. We just wanted to open it up, particularly because we didn't usually choose those language programs. And our hope was, even though we may only be able to support 6, 7 students in paying for their flights, that enough students getting significant tuition scholarships would result in them going, and they'd find ways to fundraise or work to raise that money. So the fact that they sent 26 last year is unbelievable. We went from 11 students sponsored our first year, specifically from OTA. The next year, there were 18 students that had gone on program, and now we had gone up to 26. So we're keeping it in that model of the students definitely apply for themselves. So that QR code will bring you to the CIEE site, but you can also get there and read some of the OTA specific information on our site. So under scholarships, study abroad, OTA, study abroad, there are 2 sections, high school students and college students. So for high school, the partnership is entirely with CIEE. And what OTA offers is like scholarships for the flights, but there is not a separate application. Okay, right? There are links on here. This one just links students to see all of the different programs, learn about it, see all the destinations that exist. They can research it, but it's not necessarily the application. The important thing is that students use this link on our website or that QR code. It brings you to the same place, and they just create a login. This allows them to apply to the program. And really, with our students, because so many are low income, it's really about that Global Navigator Scholarship. That is the bread and butter that's going to ensure they can go, because these programs have costs anywhere from $4,900 up to like almost $7,000, and that doesn't include flights. So we know that our students realistically can't afford to do that without some assistance. So we want students to submit the scholarship. So using this link, not only does it get them $200 off, like that's included in here of the final tuition, but what's really important is it gets you on our roster. So that way, once the deadline hits, CIEE has their internal process to determine the scholarship winners, and then they send me a list of all the students who are awarded scholarships, and that is who we consider for those flight scholarships. So then I'll contact and communicate to CIEE and let them know, but we'll select a handful of students, and it's a random drawing. We don't have more essays and more things they need to complete in that process, but we'll select some students to get their flights completely paid for. You'll see there is a $25 application fee. The first couple years we did this, we were paying that and waiving that. We're not doing that anymore, in part to make sure the students who are applying are taking it seriously and like legitimately want to go. Also, that $25 goes towards your tuition if you end up going, I want to say. So we also are not paying for passports. The first 2 years we did this, we were helping a lot of our students maybe don't have a passport. So if they get selected to go and they're incredibly excited, they get to go to Taiwan, but like, oh man, I need a passport. So in part, our role is to help support them both in the application process, and then if they're selected to go, there are still plenty of steps and complex stuff to help support your student to make sure they can eventually get to that country. It can be a lot at times, but it very much simulates a college application. So like Chris had said, seniors can't get the full tuition covered. So if you are working with all your seniors to apply, no matter how high their need is, the most they can get is a $500 scholarship. Now they can still fundraise and go, but realistically, it is those freshmen, sophomore, juniors who maybe want to go. You can help support them during the application process and simulate that college application experience. So again, the actual due date is the 15th, but if you do it early, you're giving yourself more chances to get those flights paid for. And it is important when they're completing that application, when you're doing the scholarship, you can select up to 3 programs that interest you. Really, you just have to make sure one of those 3 is a language program to make sure that you're like setting yourself up for success, because so many of those scholarship dollars go to the language programs and not picking the other ones. It's also maybe important to, like, let's say your student gets a full tuition program to China, but they didn't win the OTA flight scholarship. Well, like that flight might be $3,000 round trip. Last summer, what happened is some of the students won tuition scholarships, but then didn't have enough money to pay for the flights to go to those distances. So they were able to work with CIEE to just go to a different program, use that same scholarship to go to a program that had a more affordable flight cost. So that is absolutely an option. Don't think that just because you were accepted to Australia, but you have no way to pay for the flights and you don't win any of the flight scholarships and you're freaking out, you have to give up this opportunity despite getting a full tuition scholarship. You could still work with the entire support team, right? Like we have Chris is here just to help promote this and work with students in the application process. There's another, like you said, a team member who just is there to work with students. So between you all as true professionals, between OTA, Chris, all the team, the behind the scenes team at CIEE, like we're here to help support students and like make this as not complicated as possible. There's a lot of steps. There's health insurance that you have to do, right? Like you're sending a student to another country who's maybe never left the county. Like there's going to be a lot of steps involved in this. So we want to make sure we're going through all the sequences in the right way that's going to make the experience pleasant for the student. Any questions specifically on the high school abroad stuff or the OTA's role in it? If you're here with the college students, there are a ton of, I have this up thrown in the chat. There are college programs and they can be summer programs, they can be spring break, they can be whole semester abroad. Like there's there's even more locations studying at university. Like there are a tons of college opportunities too. But if you work with college students, you know that it gets a little more complicated because we're talking about earning credits and transferring them into your institution, trying to use financial aid resources in state to go abroad. Like it's a complex thing to navigate, but it can be done. So if you work at a school that doesn't have study abroad, CIEE has a bunch of college programs as well as scholarships and grants that can help support students who still want to do that, particularly if you have like a community college student. We have the same amount of money that goes to our pre-college students goes to our college students. So this is an internal application. So under the college students, under OTA flight scholarships, there's basically a rolling quarterly due date that we submit for students going abroad. So the way this works is if you have a college student who is going to do a study abroad program, whether it's through a third party like CIEE or through your institution, we just ask that you as the TRIO professional help fill this out with them. And it basically puts them in the drawing to get a $1,500 flight scholarship to help support that program. So there's not a bunch of essays. We're kind of relying on you all as the experts who work with the students who understand their situation to just be the one to kind of do a basic check and verify that it's legitimate program and they're viable for support. So you can see there's kind of these rolling quarterly deadlines to submit this form. And then I do drawings and award $1,500 checks directly to the students to help support those programs. So this one is far more flexible. Like I said, completing the entire process, whether it's in your institution or through a third party like CIEE, I know is going to be quite complex. But similarly, there are entire offices or staff member on the college side of CIEE who exist to kind of help support in that process. So, oh yeah, Haley, was that some of the? That's not even. Is that the Keith Sharon too? You're thinking of?
Yeah, we had one who did the Keith Sheeran through COE, so they went to the Netherlands, and then we had two students who went to Japan and did a program that Shimekita collaborates with the university in Okinawa.
That's right. So this is kind of separate, but COE, for those of you familiar, obviously this is our big national TRIO affiliate. They send a cohort of students up to like the Netherlands every summer. So they don't even have the information up for next summer yet. But as they post that up there, if any Oregon TRIO student is selected to go, because they only send like 14 students in the whole country between TRIO programs. So last year we had 2 Oregon TRIO students that got picked to go, one from Shimekita and one from Oregon State University. OTA will pay tuition and flights for like, it's kind of included. The flights are included in that one. But we also kind of help support that to try to get students to go on that. So I'll send more information about that one as it comes out, but that is also kind of study abroad adjacent. So yeah, that is kind of all the abroad. So I know I deviated there a bit from like the CIEE specific. Also, if you want to use this as a recruiting video, this was the Cape Town group I went with. This is a group of 16, 12 of them are from Oregon. So I just did, the audio is not going to play, but I did like interviews with a bunch of our TRIO students and just showed a bunch of footage of stuff we did. So you're welcome to play this in the classrooms. And specifically, if you're like a talent search program and you would like help recruiting freshmen, sophomore, juniors, this is an amazing way to be like, hey, if you're in the TRIO program, you could spend a summer in Cape Town, right? Like being part of the TRIO program also makes you eligible to do some of these opportunities. Similarly, if you are super excited by this and are like, I would love to present on this to my entire school population or to classrooms, that is where you can reach out to Chris. Like you just said, he was just in Portland doing a presentation at some school. He's gone down to Southern Oregon in the Grants Pass area and has presented at some of those schools where we've sent a lot of students to. So that you can reach out and be like, I would love to promote this just to the school, period. It doesn't have to just be your trio students. And he's more than welcome to come down and have flyers too.
Absolutely. We'll be in Grants Pass again on the 10th, actually. So we'll be in that area. So reach out to me. We can set up a time. If you need me to do a virtual presentation, I've done that for some of your advisors as well. So whatever works and however we can spread awareness of these programs and the support that we can give them, I'm happy to help.
And then one last plug. I know we mentioned it, but like if you're one of the trio staff who can kind of have summers off a bit, or you can take 3-4 weeks off in June, July, August, you can apply to be like a chaperone within these programs. What I just put in the chat, this is a video we did last year with Emily, who kind of runs the program leader side and recruiting and training for those folks. But we did a whole call just focused on that and the resources and what that looks like to answer any questions. So there's a recording of that video on our website. And like, if especially from high school programs, we do a lot of college visits and trips. It's just that for like 3 straight weeks, which sounds maybe exhausting. But if you love that stuff, it is some of like the most fun I've ever had working with students is doing their broad stuff and just seeing how much they totally transform in this opportunity and having to wear some adult pants for a while and not have mom and dad there to help them and have to navigate new spaces and places and make new friends is a really cool experience. So I do not think I have anything else. So I mean, once again, anybody have any kind of specific questions right now? All right, well, if you run into any hiccups along the way during applications, like Chris said, like just let me know because I can kind of forward it to the team. We can, if they applied using our application, there's a way for me to even see their application status and look at stuff behind the scenes using like kind of the admin login I have. So we're here to kind of help support the process of submitting all the documents that are required. But we've seriously seen that it's probably over a 50% hit rate of students who apply who are not seniors end up with like significant scholarships for these opportunities. So, and the students that go tend to be from like, there's a lot of students from the Mount Hood Talent Search Program from Centennial High School because one advisor there loves this and promotes it to a lot of people. Same with Grants Pass, right? There's been 8 students who have gone from like these rural schools because those are the advisors that are promoting it and pushing it. So there's a lot of power that you can hold as the trio staff of just helping educate your students and helping navigate them through the application. And those are the students that tend to have success. So hopefully this is something you're excited for and can provide your students with a really life-changing opportunity. So with that, oh yeah, and Jeff even said he had some, you know, he works with all the alternate schools in Portland, and even some of those students have had the opportunity to go, which often are sometimes left out of those kind of opportunities because they don't have your typical GPA and that stuff. And they've done incredible on what they went to Cape Town and Morocco, right? That's where yours went, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Mary Lau went and took a group of students to South Korea and Japan last summer for 3 weeks. And she loved the experience. And she's staff, an advisor in our programs. Loved it.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
just with Mary. We had lunch together in Portland together. Yeah, so
Cool.
let us know if you're passionate about this as well. If you're wanting to apply for program leaders, we're very connected with Emily, who leads the program leader team, and I can share your information with them and kind of check in on that application process for you all. But yeah, Mary does a great job. We talked about ways that we can, support more students at that school, giving them better information, fundraising information. So if you're interested in that stuff and you need support, we're here.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's incredible opportunities.
And just to show, so I'm on the high school abroad page, but there's this program leader, and be a program leader, and the applications are already open. So during the application, there's some spots to write essays or write information. So Emily, the person who manages this program, she basically told me like, just name drop me or say you're with Oregon just say Trio or my name. And she's like, we have enough experience now to know that like you all work with students a ton, and it's probably worth at least an interview. Like it's not a guarantee you're going to get hired, but they need like hundreds of adults to go all over like the
We hired
world.
750.
Yeah.
We
So
hired
this is
750 last year. So we're looking around 900 for this upcoming semester. So we need capable professionals like yourselves for sure.
and they pay for everything. So if you like traveling the world and you have summers off, and if you do a good job, right? If you go, you're good with students, you handle yourself seriously, you're good with staff, they love to hire back people that they know and trust versus the unknown. There are program leaders who, for the last 15 years, have spent their summers just frolicking the world on CIEE's dime, essentially, right? So it's a super cool opportunity if that's something you're interested in, you have those flexibilities. So
I would say a major benefit for students and for professionals like yourselves is the networking. Like I have met just the most incredible people working with CIE, the most amazing program leaders, Matt, just to boot, and students who connect with like private school students and public school students from all over the US. In a lot of cases, they end up going to the same colleges together and applying for the same colleges together because they made such a meaningful connection while abroad. If you're thinking of it, it's very formative. It's a challenging time for them, and their cohort, they just developed such a closeness during that time with them. So I hope that we can expand upon that even greater this following year.
and last thing I'll say is that a lot of the students who go on these programs come from like wealthy families who can afford this and want to give their students like a really cool opportunity. So that both creates really awesome dynamics of like diversity and people coming from different backgrounds and all over the country. But also like your accommodations are not like on the cheap. We often tend to go on the cheap in the trio programs because we have a limited amount of money. Like they're trying to make sure that some of these maybe rich kids still have a good time. So like when I was in Cape Town, like we were on the place we stayed, the hostel was like on the ocean, above a coffee shop, above a surf shop, and was just like the most beautiful place ever. Even in Ireland, we just stayed in like really nice dorms where everyone had their own room, and it was like a college dormitory in downtown Dublin. And they take you on just the most unbelievable excursions, and there's always like overnight stuff that you do as well. So like it's not just like this purely academic, you're going to have your nose in the textbooks. Like they want you to experience the place, the culture, and particularly in the language programs, you're going to be living with a host family. Like you are going to be immersed. So, okay, we're just going to keep rambling here. I'm going to cut us off here. Again, anybody have any questions, please reach out and let me know, and we'll help you or your students get through this and hopefully go travel the world. Thank you for being here, Chris.
All right, I'll see you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.